Everyone can rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag
of America,
to the republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to call to order regular scheduled council meeting, July 14, 2022. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Egg Harbor City Common Council was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City Hall bulletin board. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City website. Advance written notice of this meeting was sent to the Hamilton Gazette, the News Press, and the Current. The meeting is being conducted via Zoom and conference call. The meeting is also being recorded to air on the Egg Harbor City website and channel 907. May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Jim Petty. Here. Adenisi. Here. Brown.
Here,
Dash.
Here.
Heist. Here. Hesse. Here. Timbers.
Here.
Trithol.
Here.
Wright.
Here.
Ritchie.
Here. All right, resolution for an executive session at this time. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
that motion.
Second. All right, all in favor, may I ask those in the public?
aye.
May I ask those in the public, please exit, and then we'll call you back in when we're leave. We apologize. We apologize for the length of the executive session. If I may, have a roll call again, please.
Mayor Jim Petty. Here. Adenisi. Here. Brown.
Here, here,
Here.
Heist. Here. Hesse. Here. Timbers.
Here.
Trithol.
Here.
Wright.
Here.
Ritchie.
Here. I have a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, anybody in the public have any comments on any agenda items? All right, Mayor, floor is yours.
Start with the lake report. Abbreviated version, badges and wristbands, $44,651. Picnic tables, 512 at 7,065. The bands were actually 7,140. Boat rides, 294, $1,470. Gazebo rentals, 125, bringing the sales to date at $53,286. Payment one of the campgrounds, which is 10% of their sales to the city, was $6,823, bringing the total revenue to $60,109. The parking spots at the post office are finished. I no sooner read Denny's letter that I wrote down Philadelphia Avenue, and they were done already, so that's a good thing.
I think they were done before the last.
Fireworks are this Saturday at dusk. The lake will close at 7 as usual. The lifeguards will have to clean up in about hopefully half an hour, like they usually do. Gates will reopen at 7:30. The stand will be open if anyone would like to come early, get something to eat. We also have a DJ as we usually do. We do have several sponsors for the fireworks that I'd like to mention. These are the ones that have just come in that we have on record. So Laney Caravan, $1,500, R&B, $1,000, Ford Scott, $500, and CME, $200. There may be a few more coming, but so pretty much covering the expenses of the fireworks, which is good. Peace Poker celebration is also this weekend on Sunday from 2 to 4. That all this information is on the Facebook page also. So
Thank you. I'll go to the committee reports. I have nothing at this time but finance and redevelopment. Councilman Trethon, anything for safety?
July 27th, we'll have a meeting. I talked to Chief Hensley about a few things with forest fires and everything else. We have Chief's meeting. We've had an astronomical amount of severe fires in the past little bit. So, two counties being there and strike teaming. There was several 100 acre a couple days ago. So,
Thank you. Councilwoman Heist, Highway, Property Parks, Playground.
highway, just to touch base with Keith, we've had 5 main breaks in the last week and 1 hydrant replacement. The guys have been out doing lake prep for the fireworks. They'll be out again tomorrow to help get the lake all in order and everything up. With mowing, weed whacking, that kind of stuff to make sure that all the brush is down with fireworks being out there. And knock wood, the street sweeper is working. We got it back, and keep your fingers crossed that it continues to do its job. And that's all I have.
Councilman Dash, code.
I'll do code enforcement report next meeting, but I will say we did have a meeting back in June, and one of the requests for code was to change the ordinance of the grass line. That's something that you guys are ordinances working on.
Yes. So, Councilman Wright, utility.
No.
All right. Okay, Councilwoman Brown, license ordinance school board.
Yes, school board, I believe they had a meeting yesterday. It was my son's birthday, so I didn't go. As far as ordinance, we had a meeting on June 29th. At that meeting, we discussed several ordinances that Angela will actually go into because they're on tonight's agenda. So I really, I don't really have to go into that because she's going to take the time to really go into basically everything we discussed because they're up for introduction on the agenda tonight. But I will be reaching out to my committee to have another meeting soon because we have a couple things we need to get done. So just look out for that email to see what dates everyone's going to be available.
All right, thank you. Councilman Timbers.
You're welcome.
Aaron Haffen.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Meg, anything from you?
Nothing.
Councilwoman Hesse, sustainable economic.
Nothing for sustainable. The only thing I have to say is Rotary is starting to work already on their Halloween parade. So just a little something for the future.
Do they have the dates set there?
I believe it's the 28th. That's a Friday.
So it's a Friday before Thanksgiving. I mean, Halloween, I'm sorry.
Hey, 28th. Yes, the 28th. Yeah.
All right, thank you, everyone. Chief, how you doing?
Just great. I would say peachy like your shirt, but
Hey, I bring colors.
absolutely.
I'm gonna keep this short. Our numbers a little bit down in terms of crimes, 3 burglaries, 2 frauds, 1 robbery, 1 simple assault, 1 stolen murder, 4 thefts. We had 16 motor vehicle accidents, quite a few within the Wawa parking lot. 4 pedestrian stops, 78 traffic stops for a total of 42 summonses issued, 11 arrests since our last council meeting. We've been doing a lot of crime prevention activities, 112 crime prevention activities, 608 property checks. So we've been out and about trying to be present and hopefully just bring stuff. 27 EMS incidents, 8 domestics, 15 follow-ups, 12 public service. Firearms ID applications, we're going to see an increase in that with the newly passed concealed carry laws. And that's something that we will address in the safety committee meeting. In terms of what we've been up to, we did have 1 officer do ICAT April training, which is a mandated training that we have to do. 1 officer was rifle instructor certified. We've had 1 officer now who's on the county child abduction response team, and 1 officer who's currently in crisis negotiator class. Otherwise, I did attend the ordinance meeting, all of which Angela will talk to. I did go to a food truck festival meeting to shore up any details of that, since that is coming up on August 13th. They're super organized. We had a really great time at the Wawa grand opening. I saw some faces there, and yay, police won the meeting. Other things that happened, we did have our Coalition for Safe Community Walk. There were some mayor council folks there. I say it was a big success. A lot of people came out. Mr. Salke was there, and we also had empanadas. They did some beautification of the sign area right in front of the village at Buffalo and Esper. But that's about what we've been up to.
Any questions for the chief?
I would just like to thank you for your involvement in the lake recently, trying to get the customers out on time, because it's always been a struggle. And the police presence there on Sunday is really been a pleasure.
Great. We did find out who was dealing with the
Yes, the vandalism, and has subsided and has not had any further issues. Great. I just want to thank your department as far as for getting to the bottom of the ambulance that was parked out there. And the other thing was I stopped in and they took care of it as well. They Rotary Park on the bench. I guess someone was staying there for a while. I noticed it for about a week. And they took care of that as well. So, thank you.
Great, thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Jody, anything CFO report?
I just wanted, I forgot to put it on the agenda, but as you're all aware, we had a water main break in South Egg Harbor on Friday. Seashore Mechanical, our sort of on-call contractor, was not available, so they called, so Superintendent Finnegan was able to. So I just want to do a resolution awarding the emergency contract, so we have something documented.
The
For the
same thing that we were
emergency.
talking about earlier. Okay. I wasn't gonna bring that up until we went through the insurance and all that.
Do we read the heading of it? Should we do that next?
Yeah.
It says there was an emergency water main break at North Avenue and Philadelphia Avenue due to illegal use of fire hydrants by an outside contractor. So this would be awarding the contract, fix it to Permanent Finnegan.
Any opposition? If not, may I have a motion?
I make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
I
Sorry, it's one.
Antonisi? Yes. Brown?
yes.
Dash?
Yes.
Heist?
Yes.
Hesse?
Yes.
Timbers?
Yes.
Trithol?
Yes.
Wright?
Yeah.
Ritchie?
Yes. Does that conclude everything, Jody?
Yeah, Brian, both of his reports are kind of jump ahead. We'll probably be talking about kind of that area and that. So I haven't really, I think we should, well, then I'll just, I'll jump in when you're talking. Sorry.
How about you, Megan? Anything from the city? Awesome. City Attorney Angela, please.
I'm trying to make this as brief as possible. And that's a nice day for So we have for your consideration this evening 5 ordinances. If you go to number 20, the first one is an amendment to the cannabis ordinance that we passed last year. And we took everyone's advice and consideration and basically upped the fee from $300 to $2,500, and then a yearly renewal for another $2,500. We also prohibited cannabis in any format in any public area, which includes all city parks, the lake, every city property and schools. We amplified some of the other ordinances, the tobacco ordinance to include tobacco with cannabis, so that no smoking cannabis or any tobacco product is permitted in any public park, the lake, school, etc. That it's not a separate ordinance.
No,
It
I
is the
included-
cannabis ordinance, right? Correct.
Yes, I included it in the definition in the cannabis under tobacco, and I included it in section 10.
So that when the residents go on to 360 and try to look up the ordinance, they will have to go to the cannabis ordinance to find out the real ordinance for the tobacco
Actually,
ordinance. And it's some, we're pretty much lay people, most of us out here that are trying to look for this. It's not, to me, I think, I've already received email from people asking where to find cannabis ordinance, zoning, and the agenda. I mean, we have the 360 code for the public as well as the council, which I think is a great tool to use when searching for the ordinances. But we really, really have to make it easier for our residents and the council to navigate. I mean, it might be commonplace for, paralegals and lawyers and that, but not for the rest of us. So I really, really would hope that you could put it in the tobacco. Use of tobacco products in public places, ordinance 198-27. It really, really needs to be updated as well, because it's too difficult to find for the normal average person.
Well, I was told that ordinance would actually be repealed. Correct me?
No.
Said it was
You said it supersedes it,
No,
so
no.
it should be repealed.
Every ordinance that we create has a repealer section, which indicates that if there's anything inconsistent with that ordinance, it would be repealed. Anything that's amplified, superseded.
I think what Kim's trying to point out, though, is that you search tobacco on the 360, you're going to get that ordinance, and is there a way to take that off of there so that it's not confusing people?
I don't think it's confusing at all because the ordinance that everyone accesses, the public accesses, we put in a key code. So if you put in smoking, eventually if and when this ordinance is enacted, it should eventually pull up every single ordinance that states tobacco. But I appreciate your comment. Thank you very much.
I just pulled up tobacco, when I got tobacco and smoking, about 3 seconds. So it's
However,
there.
is it, which one is it? Which
No,
ordinance is it?
Right.
One-
so
the
that's what
198.27.
That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Right, so when you pull that up, you're not going to find the
I mean,
amendment.
It's not
It's not
enacted.
going to be
It's
amended.
not on there yet, so you can't
No,
see it.
but
No, you won't see it because she's repealing it
What
on the
they're
other
saying
ordinance,
is, if
correct?
you're looking at tobacco,
for smoking. The smoking that I've included in there, that's a catch-all. And then, because you can say that about e-cigarettes and everything else as well. Make it
but
all
it's
one.
still- It's
It's
still,
that.
even if they do read, it, it's still saying something similar, but just missing a few parts on tobacco. And that's all I'm saying.
But I appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. The next ordinance is number 21. This is community champions for the registration of property maintenance. And like I explained, I think it was last meeting, maybe 2 meetings ago, this is what the Lyon County Improvement Authority requested. These changes in the ordinance basically to specify the litigation and the fact that our fee is reasonable. And so those are the few minor changes in that. Number 22 are the fees and the deposits, which I also talked about, I think, a meeting ago. This ordinance updates all the construction fees, the electrical, the plumbing, subcode, and the escrow fees for the land use board, which brings them up on par to what should be charged and what I think some of the code officials were already charging, but we put it in codification stat in an ordinance form so it's clear for everyone. And I made them as attachments A and B. So going forward, if you have to change your fee, you can only change it on the exhibit as opposed to redoing the whole thing. I think it's much easier, and we went around at great length, right, Meg? I talked to Jody, I talked to Ryan, and the code officials, each and every one of them, along with Donna, to make sure everything is correct with what we should be charging. Next one is number 23. This is the grass one. So right now, the grass is 10, and we moved it down to 8. The committee talked about this at length, so now they can cite you if your grass is at 8 inches as opposed to 10 inches. That's what that was about, taking into consideration that I think the code official did recommend 6. The committee considered 6 at length, came up with a compromise, I believe, which was 8.
So it would actually recommend 6 to 8.
No, he recommended 5 to 6.
I
5 to
think your
6 is
email
what he
to him
actually
was that he recommended 6, and I think that's what was discussed at the meeting.
Oh, I know, I just said 6.
We're at 8, so we went from
10 to 8.
10 to 8.
So you can have your grass at 8 inches before you get cited
And then
for
back
grass.
on.
Now, the problem that I have with that is that when you cite someone, and many times it could be, yeah, they'll cut the grass and then it grows to 8 inches again in, I don't know, if there's rain, maybe a month or so. So basically, people are only cutting their grass down once a month because they know they're not gonna get fined. They just gonna cut it, and that's, that's just the way they're gonna cut it until they get told to cut it again. And try to find, if they don't have time to ride around the whole city or find grass leaders. It's kind of, it takes a long time to process that through the court system if necessary. And it usually is a process to that, so basically they just keep letting the grass grow. I can tell you, place right on Beethoven Street, same thing. Every month, it's the same thing. And I think that's why he recommended 6. I agree.
The big thing I have is, you have seniors and gas prices. If gas prices won't. People may not be able to afford. They may be able to afford where, just be able to afford where they live and be able to, once, once a month.
That came up at the code meeting as well.
I'm just saying, just expressing.
And
Does that just grass or those stupid weeds that grow about this tall in like a day? Is it defined as that? Just grass. No, I'm just asking because,
We actually, the ordinance is a little tricky on that, a little subcode, which is what I pulled up, which is says grass.
regular weeds that grow in a day.
Yeah, the grass.
Yes, that was.
Okay, so moving on to number 24, finally. This is an ordinance to put a multi-way stop, four-way stop at Kent Street and Liverpool Avenue, and I think this is after, what happened at the school. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of congestion at that intersection. So we think we ought to stop there. I ran it by Ryan, to see if it's problematic, and Ryan, if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, no, you certainly have the ability to do that. If safety at that intersection becomes a problem. Stop. Liverpool, the crossing is actually not even paved, but so it's not a very well controlled intersection. So yeah.
We already have 2 stop signs on Liverpool.
Right.
Just Canton doesn't have the stop signs at this point.
Right. So before ways, everybody has to stop.
Right, exactly. There's like one house on the corner and it isn't paved. I was just wondering if possibly you could use those, the, what do they call them, the portable speed trailers to see how, how busy it actually is there.
We can do that. That won't preclude you guys from making a decision about that. And with the speed trailers, I know that the issue at that intersection, specifically when school is in session and there are athletic events on the rear lacrosse, field hockey, soccer fields, that a lot of people, parents who are watching the games with spectators, park on Kent Avenue, and when they are leaving, it gets to be a little bit, they do kind of race out of there. And I recognize there aren't very many houses there, but there are kids who ride their bikes or dirt bikes down the street from the neighborhoods in Cedar Creek to go down towards the lake. And although I know that there's stop signs there, going north and south on Liverpool, sometimes they are not heated. So
If it's busy, then, I know when I went out there, I looked at it and I thought, my goodness, it's not, I don't know why we put stop signs out here,
It's one of those things that 99.9% of the time, nobody's there.
Right.
But when there's a sporting event, there's 100. So that's really it. It's just that peak.
And Councilman Mackesy, just for information, a lot of times where there are issues with speeding or people, where we get complaints, the data that is collected by the speed trailers does not support what is being reported. So, I know that a lot of times it's just a perception of what's going on. And quite honestly, there are stop signs in other areas, like for instance, at Berger and Washington, where it didn't particularly seem that there was much of an issue, but there were stop signs put there. So it doesn't preclude the constant influx, like Brian said, when there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people. Doesn't preclude you guys from putting stop signs wherever, so.
because I know we had put the moving trailer on Berger and San Fran and Beethoven. And I don't know what happened to that. Are there going to be signs there or?
That's not up to me. I know we spoke
Where does
about
it go from?
that's up to council. I can provide you the data of what it says.
Would you do that?
Sure, for what time periods do you want them?
When you had the signs up?
That's a lot of data because they were out there for like 4 weeks. Yeah. Well, there's one on Camp Street now. It was on Beethoven and it was also on Berger.
Well, what's the purpose of putting it there then?
because we received complaints about the speeders, and it's about prevention, it's about deterrence. So oftentimes when people see the flashing lights and the speed, they may not realize that they're going so fast, so when they see it.
Also, it's just
It's
for real, it's more for just
about
stopping it at the time.
It's about deterrence, and it's for us to see whether there is, you know, a need for more enforcement in that area.
Thank you.
Ultimately, it's a safety issue. We have to keep all the residents safe, you know, wherever you are, whatever you are, the children especially. And because this is heavily traveled at the time when there's an event, children, I think is a major concern.
Well, yeah, because that is what the folks that wrote in the letter, they said the same thing because of school.
Right.
You know, riding their bikes from the community school as well.
So I think that's your utmost concern. the safety of the children.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Angela. Appreciate it. Hey, Ryan, you're up.
Okay.
Engineers report.
I got a couple quick things, and then Keith might make a special guest appearance. So just to confirm, what we stated application we submitted for the 1 and 300 block of Platinum. The 300 block is the block that we had committed to bond for a couple months ago. So rather than have to necessarily bond for that specifically, we put that into the state aid, and we anticipate that some of the other blocks may run a little short because prices are going way up since we applied it, got funding. So it's, you know, we have the flexibility of maybe we could bond to sort of cover the gap on all three of them as they come up. But either way, that was a block we we're going to spend money on, so you know, this dedicates one certain safety. The state aid roads, we have 21 and 22 funding that we're just sort of sitting, waiting for Washington to get done to make sure we have to allocate funds, whatever. That's now done. We owe you guys a proposal to do the design, which I was trying to get in for this meeting, that didn't happen. I was hoping to get a minimal authorization of like $10,000 so to get the survey started. We have to have a contract awarded by November. When you start working out, if we don't get approval till the second week of August, I can start survey, and then we get design, 30 days of DOT, advertise, all that stuff. So we're gonna be cutting really, really close if we can't just at least start the survey and then now. So I was hoping to get a partial authorization on that and follow up to the full proposal for the next meeting. While I was open.
That's it.
Yeah,
Didn't notice.
Ask the chief.
Yeah, there you go.
So we look for a resolution?
Well, I was gonna sort of circle back to that. Yeah, ideally, some type of authorization to just begin our survey work there. I did talk to Jody prior to the meeting. She said we do have funding allocated for that purpose. So, you know, she would be able to just sort of allocate a portion of it now without getting the full thing. So I've council's open to that.
Yeah, I was gonna open. I didn't know if you were finished.
Yeah.
Is there any objection to a resolution to set aside that fund or have Ryan start the survey? If not, can I have a motion?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Antonisi? Yes. Brown?
Yes.
Dash?
Yes.
Heiss?
Yes.
Hesse?
Yes.
Timbers?
Yes.
Trithol?
Say
Wright?
Yes.
Richie?
yes.
Okay, thank you. DOT Route 30, there's been some flooding at the intersection of Raymond Avenue where they have the curve and sort of juts out. So we relayed that to them, showed some pictures. They're proposing to go back and add a sump inlet there, which will be pretty much right at the low spot, collect water, just like infiltrating the ground without them having to cut the curb across the road or anything like that. So I think that's a pretty reasonable solution. Just to let them know. That should be okay. That was, yeah, forward to them, and I got a couple others. So once they understood, like, it really is a problem, they proposed a solution. Atlantic Avenue, we're still working over there, we're closing in, waiting for 2 telephone poles to be relocated, and we should get paved. And then the last thing is a proposal for some south Harbor water main replacement. Do you want to elaborate on that, or?
I can.
Well, so I'll run through it and keep some supplement with this. You guys have had 4 4 water main breaks on one section of pipe in yeah, it's asbestos concrete pipe, which kind of like turns to yellow after a while, which is not really great substance for water main. So you had the one where the guy connected to it, and it literally just came from the guy opening the hydrant and closing it. Yeah, so he opened the hydrant, closed it. That was just the last 2 breaks. My understanding is there were 2 breaks prior to that. So I mean, in talking to Keith, it feels like we're not providing effective service to that area at this point. And I mean, at this point, it's like PVC, asbestos, PVC, asbestos. You know, it's just sort of a piecemeal work. So Keith asked me about how much I thought it would be to replace that section, about how long it would be. It's like 600 feet of water main. It would be a 260-foot stretch along Route 50 and a 355 or so foot stretch along North Street. It would be probably $120,000 to $150,000. That's significant. But with where we're at with our tentative closing date, you know, if you're going to end up with 2 or 3 main breaks a month, next 3 or 4 months, it's going to add up. So he asked me to sort of bring to you guys to place that section proactively rather than 10 feet at a time.
Can you state what caused the water breaks?
I don't know on the first 2, I'd have to defer to Keith on that. The last 2 were someone connecting to a hydrant and opening it and closing the hydrant too fast.
Fire department, fire, not our.
No, that was, the last 2 were a private vendor who came in to borrow some water.
Right.
And didn't notify the city.
And when we had the big fire at Joe's junkyard, that was no.
That was another one, correct. Keith, you want to fill in the 3rd one, or 4th one?
So it was all continued. It started with the fire at the salvage yard. We continued to try to keep the departments off that. South Egg Harbor works very well with us, trying to not use them. But the issue that we're having at the end of the day is we're replacing 20 feet of pipe at a time for the most expensive amount of money we can do it. And I understand that, yes, people are improperly using the hydrants. The last case that we had, to go back to the first 2 were the junkyard, or the first 3 were the junkyard fire, 2 separate locations. The second 2 following that were someone, and I'll say it the right way, not borrowing, someone stealing water. So I like how Ryan kind of cleaned it up, but the issue I have over there is that why I know we're closing on an impending sale date is that the hydrants over there should be operational, should be able to be used. And I just brought it to the interest of, we're gonna do this every Wednesday and Friday for, you know, $6,000 to $12,000 a break, depending on how much time we have there. Do we wanna look at, you know, trying to use some of the Water Quality Act money and replace it, or do we wanna hold on status quo? I mean, if we can keep the people off the hydrants, which I think the residents of South Egg Harbor are starting to feel, that's how we found out who it was. A resident came forward, told us, we found out who it was, and now we're gonna go after the, you know, obviously go after the company for the money that we incurred. The question,
But those hydrants are possibly needed for fire,
right,
so they need to be operational.
so if they're, we flush the hydrants yearly, right? We don't break them. But we're also well aware of how slow we have to shut them down. Egg Harbor City, South Egg Harbor is well aware of that. When you get a case like the salvage yard fire, you got companies coming from all over the place. And while I respect every fireman and what they do in this room, it's a very excitable situation. And when you have people that are coming in from outside of town that want to fill their truck, they see a hydrant. I mean, I'm sure you guys do this all over the place. You fill your truck, you know, that's what you do to get prepared. We had somebody in throwing people off the hydrants at night, South Egg Harbor, telling people where to go, where we can go. It's not a matter of providing the water, it's a matter of having water for residents after the fire is what it comes down to. And why we can fight the good fight to keep people off of them illegally, which the residents helped us this time to be able to charge somebody with it, hopefully. It's hard to do 24/7. And my concern is, fire protection over there. That's my concern. And I do know, and Brian, I think you can confirm this, that their agenda includes replacement of Mini and South Lake Harbor during part of their investment. So that also has to be considered on our end too. Are we throwing good money at bad when they're going to replace it anyway? It's kind of a catch-22, and I understand that. It just,
Well, I would suggest that we talk to American Water before we go ahead and spend $150,000. If they already have a capital plan to replace that, maybe they'd like to start it earlier. And when we don't have to pay for it, I would be willing to reach out to them. Or if Ryan would like to do it, you can certainly do it.
I think that's a great idea, to be honest with you. We can definitely go to them and speak with them.
Keith, just curious, do you think that, from now until something happens, talking about sailor, we'll spend $37,000 for repairs a month?
No, I don't think that. I think that what we had going on the last month was sort of, not what we experience every month. But if the case may be, we get fires and we get stuff like that, it's clear we're going to incur costs.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. We're going to spend money over there to keep the residents in water.
Is there any way that they have anything they can put over it or some type of a lock that they can give to the fire department and possibly public works? Is there anything like that?
That's not something
There's
we,
Knox box, Knox box.
that's not something we do in town here. Yeah, and the problem is your galley.
Harbor City, or the other ones have to be. My Knox box won't work anyway else than any other municipality. So, and,
Technically, that was.
oh yeah, so.
Yeah, we'd have to get permission from Galloway
Get
to
permission, and then,
enforce that.
and Knox is very restrictive on who they give access to. And, with that, I mean, each one of my firefighters, they have to put their social security number to get the key out. So we have access to that, so. It's, I mean,
Is there a cost incurred with that? or anything?
about $1,000 for, I think.
And how many,
I want to say 12 over there,
12?
give or take.
12,000.
About 12,000.
Best bet is to reach out to American Water.
I agree with that idea. Let's reach out to them first, obviously, but I just wanted to bring it up for the understanding of what's going on over there. Because it seems like every other day we're talking about a main break over there, and now that everybody understands why we're having it, it helps us all understand what's going on.
Yeah, Ryan, you can reach out to everybody.
Yeah, I put together just a little draft aerial plan so you can understand what we're talking about, trying to modify it, bring some information you guys. I'll leave a couple in here. But yeah, I'll forward this to American Water. I know that this is high on their list anyway. It's 6-inch main and it's ACP, the two priority categories for them. So I'm sure that this is within their first two capital plan anyway. Yeah, no, as I was saying, I'll reach out to Newsmaker. I'll forward the plan on the situation.
Great. Anything else?
No.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Moving on to number 16, resolution to authorize the tax collector to issue estimated tax bills. If there's no questions, or comments, may I have a resolution? Second. All in favor? Moving on to 17 is a resolution to amend the personnel policy, internet use. The only question I have is, where did this arise from? And where did it come from? I know it came from the labor attorney, but why? Is the only question I have.
I don't think we can discuss that right now, but let's just say the internet policy that I originally added was from 2014 or 16. It's very outdated. And what had to be addressed is postings on Facebook and social media that is detrimental to certain people that you work with for your organization that you work for. So in order to update that policy, because now obviously everybody's on some kind of social media and posting things and whatnot. It had to be added to for the protection of the city employees, city workers, and the organization itself. And obviously, the person who's posting it should really know that you can't do that. It's just like a rule. So basically, the first version came from May County JIF that was from the school, came directly from the public school system. Then the amendment came from a culmination of the statewide JIF and the Atlantic County JIF. Pieces of the Atlantic County JIF were actually more helpful than the ones from the statewide. I looked at both, and both Angela and Phil Blaney approved them, and it was sufficient for what we needed. There was just a few insertions dealing with social media, and I think I sent that over email. Angela, do you still have it? Or did you get emailed to everybody?
Mayor, I saw the version that the Labor Council sent over, and I saw the version you amended, but I didn't approve it since I didn't want to incur extra costs. I didn't see if you,
Well, you, on your email, you indicated that.
I thanked everyone, yes, I did.
That's good. So
But I
figured-
did approve the social policy or the internet, like I said.
Well, you read it.
Mr.
so thank you.
Mr. Blaney looked at it and he was okay with it, although it was cut and pasted from different GIFs.
No, it was really the same difference. It was only kind of- I looked at the statewide, and it wasn't comprehensive.
As like I said, I didn't approve it or disapprove it. I didn't see the need to take two orders.
Well, did you read it?
I read the first one and honestly, Mayor, I didn't read yours.
So is this restrictive to personal devices, city servers? What is this
No,
restrictive
we
to?
have all that already. It's just, it's posted. It's just
So
posted.
we're restricting First Amendment rights.
No.
Fine.
No.
I have a problem with this. I have a problem with this. I'm not voting for this because it's too blank. There's no details about it. It just came up out of nowhere. No, I'm not voting for this. You can't just sneak this in there like that. No.
Okay. All right. I have no further
Sneak
questions.
things in.
I don't understand what the layout is for. So we'll move on with this.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Well, I have a question. Did we get a chance to read this?
It was sent to
Well,
you.
policy is just, it's codified by the council, and you probably should have read it, but we only do usually once a year. You have to approve the personnel. It's in the policy and procedure manual or the personnel manual.
Okay. But the changes, have we had a chance to see the changes?
I don't think Angela circulated them. She said she wasn't getting involved in it, so. I did send
That's not what I
it.
said, Mayor. I said that Mr. Blaney was involved in it with you. And so I didn't see the need to double bill or
Do you want me to read the section that they're adding?
It's very long.
Why don't you just distribute it to the city council?
All right, so what I'm gonna suggest is this gets tabled to next meeting so it can get circulated so all council can review it for next meeting.
Okay. Ava?
Thank you. That was all I was trying to ask for.
Yes. Can I have a motion to table this?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Moving on to number 18, resolution to appoint temporary fire official. At this time, our fire department has suggested to appoint Stephen Buckhofer as to the open position for fire official until a permanent replacement is found. If there's no opposition, comments, concerns, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, roll call, please.
Antonisi?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Dash?
Yes.
Heiss?
Yes.
Hesse?
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Tricol,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Moving on, 19, resolution to renew the following liquor license through starting July 1st, 2022 through June 30th of 22, plenary retail consumption for MRM pocket license, 1400 Whitehorse Pike LLC pocket license. May I have a motion?
I just have a quick question.
Sure.
Just for clarification, pocket license is someone, they have a license, but they don't have, it's not being used.
No, the pocket is, there's no location it's
Right,
situated
they
at.
can take it.
Yes. And inactive is not being used. For
I-
example, the German restaurant that was on St. Louis.
Yeah.
That's inactive. But like Luby's, which is, it's not on here, but just to give you an idea, theirs has no location, so that would be their pocket.
That should be June 30th, 2023, not 2022, am I correct?
Termination date. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you put, just so that we have it for the record, it's 23.
All right, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to 20, this here is an introduction to ordinance number 6 of 2022, amending chapter 170 of the Code of the City of Egg Harbor pertaining to cannabis application fee license fee inspection in the City of Egg Harbor. Before we move to may I have a motion to introduce, sorry.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, I'd like to open for conversation if anybody has any comments, questions.
Yeah, what is this? Is it stopping cannabis smoke completely in Egg Harbor City or just like?
No, it's public parks. Like,
This is the list.
Yeah, I'm with some of it, but I'm not with it all. This is
This is the
cannabis.
license- license.
This is the license fee though.
Oh, the license, okay. I thought you-
It's everything.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
yeah, it's the money, 2,500, 2,500.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that. I thought you were 20. I'm sorry, you said 20, so that's what I thought. Gotcha.
This is everything.
It's about smoking it too, though.
Oh, okay, it's for everything, this is the fee and the smoking
The
and.
fee and the smoking and the
Yes.
smoking.
Well,
Which
see,
one
it
is
shouldn't be in
number
two
on
ordinances.
what?
That should be two separate ordinances. It should be both the same. You shouldn't have the fee and the ordinance, because I agree with the fee, but I don't agree with the.
Well, Mason, just to let you know, it's like smoking cigarettes too.
Yeah,
It's
but
done in the
cannabis
same
is nowhere deadly as cigarette. Like, I just don't, that's just my opinion. I mean,
Don't you think that you can?
For clarifying question, it's just in public.
I mean, because you got people that are dying of cancer, that they get marijuana to that smoke that need,
Right, right.
they need to smoke, and you're gonna tell a person that's dying, that they can't smoke their joint to keep them alive.
Oh, well, that's
No,
different.
That's no different, they're
That's
still
not-
smoking,
that's
still
not-
smoking cannabis in public, or a public park, or whatever like that.
That's not what this is saying.
It doesn't say that in the ordinance. It doesn't say if you have a medical card that you can smoke in the public place. It doesn't say you can't smoke in the public place, period.
I think it's statutory, medical.
Yeah, well, now you don't even need a medical card, you go right to the dispensary and get it.
But if you have a medical card, the ADA exempts.
Yeah.
That's why.
I'm just not doing it. I'm for the license, I'm not for that.
Anybody else?
I want to say something about this. I'm also not with everything being grouped together. This should be separate ordinances because they're separate issues. Cannabis and tobacco are not the same thing, and they should not be grouped together just because you can smoke cannabis in one form. There's many forms to use cannabis. So I think we need to separate them for clarification and stop trying to group it all together.
Okay. That's noted, Councilwoman Brown. Thank you. And also we, Councilman Ray, it's been noted. So, anybody else with this? If not, may I have oh, no, we can't, it's not yet.
It's for public hearing.
All right.
Those,
Okay.
unless you wanted, I mean.
Want to do a straw poll to see if we, get this successful or not? We didn't do that for you. But that, we didn't do a straw vote today with the last one that we did. I think, sorry.
You didn't do a straw vote.
Well, there's some that are for it, some that are. The same thing with you. Some people were for that, some people weren't.
And I asked if there was anybody opposing.
I said I made a motion to go.
I didn't hear you say you were opposed.
I would have made a motion, so I didn't.
But this is just a motion.
This is to
introduce it.
introduce, so the public hearing, we could table it at the public hearing, correct? You already introduced it,
Yeah.
and now it's advertised.
Have a motion to advertise the notice. And Hamilton gets out July 20th.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Number 21, this is another introduction of the ordinance number 7, 2022. This is that Champions program that Angela spoke of. May I have a motion to introduce.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Like to open it up for any conversation we have. All right. May I have a motion to advertise advertise introduction and have to sell this one.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Thank you. Number 22 is the introduction of ordinance number 8, repealing and replacing chapter 120, the fees in regards to permits, et cetera, and those that were discussed by Angela. May I have a motion to introduce?
So moved. Second.
All right, open up for any conversation, if anybody has anything. If not, may I have a motion to advertise on the same day, July 20th for hearing on August 11th.
So moved.
All in favor? Thank you. Number 23 is the ordinance amending chapter 213.6 regarding the height of grass from 10 inches to 8 inches. May I have a motion to introduce this ordinance? Second, open up for conversation if anybody has any comments or concerns. All right, I have a motion to advertise this notice on July 20th for August 11th public hearing.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? And number 24 is the last ordinance to introduce regarding the four-way stop at Kent and Liverpool. May I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second? All right, I'd like to open up for conversation if anybody has any questions or comments. All right, may I have a motion to advertise this notice on July 20th for August 11th?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to the bills. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Roll call, please.
Athanasi,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Heiss,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Triton,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Mayor, the floor is yours for any last comments.
No, thank you.
Thank you, sorry about that. Councilwoman Heiss.
Just so everyone's aware, on July 30th, the Hearts of Harley committee will be holding their annual motorcycle run in memory of Michelle and Gavin Pats. So on the 30th, there will be a lot of motorcycles in town. The ending stop is at Crossroads. The starting stop is at Nancy's Country Kitchen. So if you're out and about, please be aware of the motorcycles because we will be out there. We will be riding 80 miles through Atlantic County to earn money for the fundraiser for Hearts of Harleys. And if anybody would like to come to the after party at Crossroads, you can look up the Hearts of Harley website and there's a fee for a ticket, but you can come out, there's a Chinese auction and, you know, come out and join in the festivities. I will. Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Councilwoman Brown.
I would just like to say to everyone when they go to the lake to enjoy our quote unquote 4th of July fireworks, just remember to, have respect for the other people that are there, the people that are organizing the event, as well as our law enforcement officers. It can get very chaotic and just be patient. You're going to get out. Just, everybody needs to just slow down when they're trying to leave. Like that's the main problem that I've noticed with the fireworks. When it's time to leave, it's like you can almost lose your life out there. And, you have cops out there that are not in vehicles versus vehicles that are trying to all get out at the same time. So I just want to remind everybody, just slow down. Okay, just slow down. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Dash.
I'd just like to thank Chief and Edgar City Police Department. I've been seeing the patrol cars over 30 parks slowing down traffic. Very much appreciated. That's all I got.
Councilman Charnthal.
Thank you.
Councilman Timbers.
No.
Councilman Ray.
Just a couple things.
football and cheer has officially started. We're out there every Tuesday and Thursday for the next couple of weeks, and then August, we're out there 5 nights a week. Official home game will start Labor Day weekend. We do have a couple fundraisers coming up in town. Our annual Beef and Beer will be August 6th at Crossroads, from 6 to 9. Also, we have a big movie night that we're in the process of making up and getting it together, that we're going to do at the Crusaders Field. So once that information comes out, that's going to be towards the end of August. It's going to be an open event. We're going to be looking for vendors. Anybody who wants to come out there, any businesses that want to advertise over the big screen and, you know, put their name out there, all that good stuff. So once Ms. Clark gets back to me with the final detail, put that out there about the page. So it's going to be a free event, and basically all the profit that we'll make will be off the concession stand. So it's a night for the community to come out and watch the movie. I think it's going to be like the new Superman movie, or Spider-Man, I believe. Correct. I believe that's what I was saying.
August 27th.
Yeah, there you go.
Mason, when you, or Councilman Wright, when you get a chance, can you send me the football schedule so we know what
Yes.
more days are, please?
First 3 weeks of September,
That's it.
and then we're the second week of last in October. We're only, our first 3 home games are right at the beginning of the week, and we're away.
Okay.
Yep. I think then the next one's like October 22nd.
Thank you. Councilwoman Helsey.
I'm just looking forward to seeing everyone out at the fireworks at the lake this weekend and just have a wonderful weekend, folks.
Thank you. Councilwoman Anthony C. All righty. Anybody from the public have any final comments they would like to bring up?
Farmers dinners.
Oh, yeah,
is
that's
also
almost
always
6.
6 from
Almost 6.
4 to 7, I believe. So
Yes, 47.
you can do everything at the same day.
Yep,
Everything.
kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
And my grandson's birthday, so I'm gonna be.
That's also the same like sale, right?
Yes.
Yep, citywide, you're still
And the Crusaders were there.
Great coordination.
We had the 30th, but, you know, Chris double booked this.
So there's no public comment?
No, have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night.